All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty major.
Yeah.
It's kind of the basis of, well, everything,
hmm
life itself.
Absolutely. It's
Y-
pretty amazing when you think about it.
We all know, like, a bouncing puppy is alive, but
Right.
what about a tree just standing there?
Good point.
Or even you,
Yeah.
just listening to us right now.
What is life?
What makes something alive? Today, we're going to crack open those secrets,
Yeah.
the amazing functions, those life processes
Yeah.
that make living things tick.
I think it's easy to take those processes for granted,
Totally.
but when you really break them down,
Yeah.
it just gives you a whole new appreciation for how complex and interconnected life really is.
Okay, so for this deep dive, we're going way back to basics.
It's back to school.
Well, sort of. Our guidebook this time is a classic, a 10th grade biology textbook.
You're kidding.
Don't worry, no pop quizzes, I promise.
Okay, good.
But we are going to extract those aha moments, those cool facts that maybe...
Some juicy stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I'm in.
So before we get into the nitty-gritty, like how it all works, our trusty textbook starts with this really basic but kind of mind-blowing question.
Yeah.
What makes something alive in the first place?
Okay.
Like, is a rock sunbathing alive just because it's warm?
I like that, the rock sunbathing.
Right.
It's an interesting question.
It is.
It is. And the answer lies in this amazing world of, molecules. Living things are in this constant state of internal motion at the molecular level, even when they seem perfectly still on the outside. Imagine, like a bustling city. That nonstop activity, that's what keeps things running.
I like that.
That's what defines life.
So it's not just about, like, moving around on the outside. It's about that inner hustle and bustle.
Exactly. Exactly. Now, viruses are kind of a weird exception here.
Oh.
They're like those house guests, the ones
nice.
who just kind of show up and...
And eat all your food?
Exactly. They don't really have their own internal hustle going on until they barge into a living cell and basically hijack its resources.
Oh, wow.
It's actually what makes them so tricky to classify as truly alive.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So we've established life is all about action, about this internal movement, but it needs fuel too, right?
Absolutely. Just like we need to eat, all living things need a way to get energy.
All right, got to keep the lights on. And there are two fundamentally different ways that organisms do this.
This is where it gets cool.
Yeah, hit me.
Autotrophic and heterotrophic nutrition.
Okay, so autotrophic, those are the plants, right?
Oh, got it. Think of plants like the ultimate self-sufficient farmers.
Okay.
They've got this incredible process, photosynthesis,
Yeah, photosynthesis.
where they can actually harness energy directly from sunlight,
Wow.
water, and carbon dioxide.
They make it look easy.
To create their own food, it's amazing.
So like they've got their own food factories going on in those leaves.
Exactly. And they do this amazing thing with these tiny openings on their leaves called stomata.
Stomata, those are like their little mouths, right?
Yeah, exactly. They use those to take in the carbon dioxide and release oxygen.
It's like they're breathing, but with air and food all at once.
And get this, they can actually open and close these stomata to control how much water they lose.
What?
Yeah.
Plants have their own, like, water conservation system?
It's incredible, right?
That is wild. Okay, so we've got the autotrophs, the plant world doing their thing, but what about us? What about all the animals running around?
All right, so that's where heterotrophic nutrition comes in.
Okay.
We, unlike plants, we can't just whip up our own meals from sunlight.
Sadly.
We rely on other organisms for food. We've got to eat it, whether it's plants or other animals.
Right, it's like the difference between growing your own veggies and hitting the grocery store.
Exactly. Or, going hunting if you're a lion on the savannah.
Okay, so we've got our food, either by making it ourselves like plants or by finding it like animals do. But what happens next? Our trusty textbook takes us on, well, a bit of a wild ride through the digestive system.
Buckle up.
Right. It's a fascinating, complex factory operating inside us all the time, breaking down that food into stuff our bodies can actually use.
It's pretty amazing stuff, really.
It is, and it all starts with that first bite.
Exactly. The journey begins in the mouth.
Right. Chewing things up.
Yeah, chewing and saliva.
Right.
They really kind of kickstart the whole process.
It's like the first stage of the factory line.
I like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So then it's down the hash,
Down the esophagus.
into the stomach.
And that's where things get really interesting.
Oh, yeah. What happens in the stomach?
Well, think of it like,
Like what?
like a big mixing bowl
Okay.
where the food gets churned together with acids, enzymes.
Oh, yeah, the
So it's like a
acids.
pre-wash cycle for your food.
Right. Breaking it down, getting it ready for the real deal.
Exactly, exactly. And then it moves on to the small intestine.
Ah, the small intestine. I remember reading about this.
What's that?
Our textbook, it said something crazy like,
Yeah.
the small intestine has a surface area about the size of a tennis court.
Isn't that wild?
It's mind-blowing.
Get that.
How's that even possible?
Well, it's all thanks to these, like, microscopic finger-like projections.
Finger-like,
Yeah.
called villi.
Villi.
Really got it. They line the inner walls, and those little guys, they increase the surface area drastically.
So it's like...
It's like having thousands of tiny little fingers grabbing onto all the nutrients, just pulling them in.
pulling them into the bloodstream.
Wow. Efficiency on a whole other level.
Right. It's incredible.
Okay, so we've absorbed all these nutrients, right? They're in our bloodstream.
Mm-hmm.
But how does our body actually, like, put them to use?
Well, that is the process of respiration.
Respiration, everyone knows breathing.
Yeah, but it's more than just breathing.
Right, right.
It's actually how our cells take those nutrients,
Mm-hmm.
mainly glucose, and they break them down.
To release energy.
Exactly. And that energy is stored in a form that our bodies can actually use, ATP.
ETP.
Think of it as like the currency of energy in living organisms.
I got it. Like, it's what fuels all those little cellular engines.
Exactly. Exactly.
So going back to that food factory analogy,
Ah.
respiration is like finally taking all those ingredients
Mm-hmm.
and cooking them into a meal our bodies can enjoy.
I like it. It's a good analogy.
Right. Or I guess energy our cells can use.
Precisely. And just like in cooking, there are a couple of ways that organisms can respire.
Okay, so like different cooking methods for energy.
Exactly. There's aerobic respiration, which is what we're most familiar with.
Right. Breathing in oxygen.
Exactly. It uses oxygen to fully break down the glucose
Okay.
and releases a good amount of energy, kind of like a slow, steady burn.
Like a nice even campfire.
Exactly. You need a constant supply of oxygen to keep it going.
Makes sense. And then there's...
Anaerobic respiration.
That's the one without oxygen, right?
You got it.
Yeah.
And it's more of a short burst of energy.
Okay, so less of a campfire, more like...
More like a firecracker. Exactly.
Hmm.
Less efficient overall, but sometimes you just need that quick burst of power.
Which reminds me, that burning sensation in your muscles during a workout,
Ah,
that's anaerobic respiration, isn't
it
it?
is when your muscles are working really hard.
Yeah, and you can't get oxygen to them fast enough.
Exactly. They switch over to anaerobic respiration for that quick energy boost.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Isn't it? The body has these amazing backup systems in place.
Totally. Okay, so we've talked about getting the fuel, breaking it down, but what about actually getting those nutrients and that energy to where they need to go?
Ah, that, my friend, is the marvelous world of transportation.
Right, like a complex delivery system inside us.
Exactly, making sure everything gets to its destination.
From head to toe.
Precisely. Now, in humans and other animals, this is mainly the job of the circulatory system.
Right, the heart, blood, all that good stuff.
Exactly. Think of it like this vast network of highways and roads.
Okay, like...
connecting every single part of your body.
Wow, so the circulatory system is like the transportation infrastructure of our bodies.
Precisely. And the delivery trucks on those highways, those are your red blood cells.
Carrying those precious oxygen packages.
Exactly. And it's not just oxygen, they're also transporting nutrients, hormones.
Right, this whole delivery service.
It really is. Even helps remove waste products, keeping everything running smoothly.
So important.
It is. Now, plants, they have their own fascinating way of doing things.
Oh, right. Plants. They don't exactly move around like us, but they still got to transport stuff.
Exactly. They may not be running marathons, but they still need to get water and nutrients from the soil all the way up to their leaves.
Yeah, it's a long way to go.
It is. And then they've got to transport the sugars made during photosynthesis back down to the rest of the plant.
Okay, so two-way traffic.
Precisely.
But how do they do it without a heart pumping everything around?
That is a great question. They have this amazing system of specialized tissues.
Specialized tissues.
Yeah, called xylem and phloem.
Xylem and phloem. Okay, I've heard of those.
Have you?
Yeah, but I could definitely use a refresher.
Right. So xylem, think of it like a network of tiny straws
Okay.
running throughout the plant, pulling water and minerals upwards from the roots.
No way. Defying gravity?
They do. It's incredible, really.
That is wild. Okay, so xylem is like the water delivery system, but what about those sugars, those delicious energy-rich sugars from photosynthesis.
Ah, that's where phloem comes in.
Okay, phloem's the sugar train.
Exactly. Think of it like a network of pipelines,
Okay, pipelines for sugar.
transporting those sugary treats from the leaves where they're made to other parts of the plant that need energy to grow.
So it's a whole interconnected system, just like our circulatory system, but for plants.
Precisely. A two-way street ensuring all parts of the plant get what they need.
That's amazing. It's like however life figured out how to do it, it's just so efficient and tailored to each organism.
It really is remarkable. It speaks to the power of evolution.
It does. Okay, so we've talked about taking in nutrients, transporting them, but what about the other end of that process?
Ah, you mean the part nobody likes to talk about?
Maybe, but it's got to be dealt with.
It does, just like any well-functioning system.
Got to take out the trash, right?
Exactly. Living organisms need a way to get rid of byproducts, the waste materials that are generated during all those metabolic processes.
Right, got to keep things tidy.
That's where excretion comes in.
Excretion, taking out the biological trash.
Exactly.
It's amazing how our bodies just take care of all that without us even thinking about it.
Right. It's a pretty incredible system until it's not.
What do you mean?
Well, think about what happens when one of these vital processes gets thrown off.
Like a wrench in the gears.
Exactly. Suddenly the whole system can start to sputter.
Okay, so like what? Give me an example.
Okay, well, kidney failure is a big one.
Right, that's when your kidneys can't filter the waste out of your blood.
Okay. Exactly. And it shows just how important the excretory system really is.
Because if it doesn't work, you're in trouble.
Big trouble. It can actually throw off all those other processes we talked about, even become life-threatening.
That's where dialysis comes in, right?
Exactly. Dialysis is amazing. It's like having an external kidney.
Like a temporary fix.
Exactly. It filters the blood for you when your body can't do it on its own.
Wow, it's incredible what we can do with technology these days.
It really is. And then there's organ transplantation, which is even wilder.
Taking an organ from one person and giving it to another.
It's like a biological miracle, giving someone a second chance at life.
But that's got to come with a whole other set of questions, right? Like ethical questions.
Absolutely. Things like, how do we decide who gets a transplant?
Right, who gets that second chance?
Yeah, exactly. And what about the ethics of living organ donation?
It's heavy stuff.
It is. And then you've got all the research happening with artificial organs.
Trying to create organs in a lab.
It's like something out of science fiction, but it could be the future.
It really makes you think,
Oh,
about all the layers. Like, we've spent this whole time talking about these amazing processes.
Right, the fundamentals of life.
Yeah, and they're incredible on their own. But then you add in all the stuff we're learning about how to help when things go wrong.
The ingenuity, the compassion. It's pretty remarkable.
It is. It makes you appreciate the human side of it all, too.
Absolutely. And it makes you realize that this journey of discovery,
It never really ends, does it?
nope, there's always more to learn, more to explore, more to uncover about how life works.
And more to figure out about how to protect it, how to keep those amazing processes running smoothly.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, on that note, I think we've covered a lot of ground today.
We really have, from
Yeah.
tiny cells to entire ecosystems,
And from the everyday miracles happening inside us right now.
to the cutting edge of science and technology.
It just goes to show life really is incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
And that's a wrap on another deep dive.